Kia ora and welcome. My name is Siobhan Burke and I am a junior school teacher from St Bernadette's, Fulbury. Two of my children also attend St Bernadette's and I am blessed enough to have one of them in my class this year. I've been teaching for 15 years in Catholic schools in Oamaru and Dunedin, having received my own Catholic education from St Bridget's and then Kavanagh College. Father Jared has asked me to speak to you this evening about holiness. I will discuss the concept of holiness as being whole. We will explore what we understand by holiness and how we are called to respond. We will also examine how holiness is developed and nourished through Catholic education. As I am presenting to you, I invite you to reflect on these two questions. What does holiness mean for you, and where do you recognise holiness? As stated in Tō Tātou Whakapono, the aim of the religious education curriculum for Catholic schools in Aotearoa, New Zealand, is for young people to grow in their understanding and awareness of God's aroha, His holiness, which permeates all creation. Their own personal call to holiness and wholeness, as modelled by Jesus, is seen in the lives and teachings of the saints. Let's take a moment of reflection. The video I am about to play is taken from the curriculum. I want to acknowledge former Kavanagh College student Stam Steele for her work developing and sharing these resources.
Breathe in me, Wairua Tapu, so my thoughts will be holy. Act in me, Wairua Tapu, so my actions will be holy. Rest in my heart, Wairua Tapu, so I feel love for this holy. Strengthen me, Wairua Tapu, so I can defend what is holy. Protect me, Wairua Tapu, so I can be holy.
Tō Tātou Whakapono, the curriculum, is designed to hold each child's hand and guide them as they walk with God on their holy journey. Focusing on what being holy is, it incorporates the personal call to holiness, reflecting one's dignity and mana, and it is linked to the communion of saints in the cycle of the liturgical year. It is closely bound to wholeness, becoming fully human, as witnessed in Jesus, and therefore includes love of God, love of self, and love of one's neighbour. In our Catholic tradition, holiness is often perceived as a lofty ideal, something reserved for saints and for holy orders. We also think of holy moments within our lives that are sometimes linked to the sacraments. Tonight, I invite you to consider holiness not as an unattainable goal, but as a call to embrace our wholeness in the eyes of God. God is there to help make us whole. He made us in His image and wants our life to be full and as happy as possible. We are always connected to God's holiness because His grace is always in our life. By recognising this, it becomes easy to see that it's not really about being good all of the time that makes us holy. It's being holy that makes us good. Now let's take 2 minutes to reflect and write on the paper provided, what does holiness mean to you, and where do you recognise holiness? Our faith teaches us that we are created in the image and likeness of God. This inherent dignity calls us to recognise and embrace our own uniqueness, strengths, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities. To be holy, then, is to acknowledge and integrate all facets of our being into a harmonious whole, aligning our lives with the divine purpose. Pope Francis writes that he does not believe in holiness without prayer, even though that prayer need not be lengthy or involve intense emotions. This holiness to which God calls us will grow through small gestures. To be whole, to be holy, is also to recognise and respect the wholeness in others. It is our relationships, our families, our communities that holiness is revealed. The Catholic social teaching emphasises the dignity of every human person and the call to work for justice and peace. Our response to this call is an integral part of our journey towards holiness, a journey that requires compassion, solidarity, and a commitment to building a more just and compassionate world. Now, when it comes to our own lives, being holy means recognising the sacred in everyday stuff. As a teacher, I see it play out in the classroom, in the patience we show, the empathy we share, and the knowledge we pass on. At St Bernadette's, we teach our students that ways to be holy at home and at school might include joining and leading prayer, being truly sorry and truly grateful, being quiet, respectful and reverent in church, asking ourselves, WWJD, what would Jesus do? And speaking out for justice, learning from our mistakes and forgiving others, seeking God's presence when things are not going right, and wondering at God's creation and showing love and being kind. It's in those everyday moments that holiness becomes real. Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Now let's be real. The journey towards holiness is not always a walk in the park. Challenges, doubts, and distractions abound. It is essential to acknowledge these hurdles and to find ways to overcome them. God shows us his grace in the challenges he puts before us, as it is through overcoming these that we develop character and fortitude. My mother-in-law used to tell her many children when they were young that life's tribulations could be tolerated if they were offered up as a gift to God. This sentiment is encapsulated in the words of Reverend Phillips Brooks, which were made most famous by the United States' first Catholic President, John F. Kennedy. Do not pray for easy lives, pray to be stronger men. Do not pray for tasks equal to your powers, pray for powers equal to your tasks. It is through prayer and seeking guidance from spiritual mentors that God's wisdom is revealed to us. In our daily lives, we are called to respond to God's invitation to holiness. It means recognising the sacred in the ordinary, the divine in the mundane. As a teacher, I am reminded daily of the immense responsibility and privilege of nurturing young minds. It is in the classroom that holiness takes on a tangible form, in the patience shown, the empathy extended, and the knowledge shared. Sometimes concepts like holiness can be hard to put into words. They are often recognised in others or in a feeling. Children have this special ability for not overcomplicating things. I'm now going to share a clip that is used within the RE curriculum about growing holiness.
Growing in holiness. God wants our holiness to grow in our lives. God showed us how to grow in holiness by giving us Jesus to teach us. There are lots of people who live like Jesus and show love and respect to all life, and we can too. holiness, and we feel like we are being the best people we can be. Praise be to God. We can grow in holiness.
In conclusion, let us embrace the idea that holiness is not an unattainable ideal, but a lived reality, expressed through our commitment to be whole, to be fully ourselves in the light of God's love. As we navigate the complexities of life, let us remember that our journey towards holiness is a continuous process of becoming, of integrating our joys and our sorrows, our strengths and our weaknesses into a beautiful tapestry of faith. Holiness is reflected in the work people do around you.
Holiness and holiness. Jesus was a completely whole person when he lived his human life on earth. None of his thoughts, words, or actions were broken or missing. This is why we try hard to be like Jesus in our lives. When we learn how Jesus thought, spoke, and prayed, and how he treated himself and others, we learn what it means to be holy. For Christians, holiness is all about becoming a whole person. It's about becoming like Jesus through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Holy times in Jesus' life. There are times when Jesus was praying, healing, and preaching, but there were also other times in Jesus' life that were holy too. During the very ordinary times when Jesus was being very human, Jesus was also being very holy too. When he was talking with friends, traveling, eating, helping, listening, working, running, or drinking. These things were parts of his holiness because they were parts of his wholeness. And it helped make us holy and whole too. When we did the things we love, like dancing, learning, or sharing a beautiful meal with our loved ones, when we go for a snorkel at the beach, when we say sorry after we've upset a special friend. These are all times we are being whole and holy people. They remind us how gracious it is to be alive. They remind us how amazing God is. And they inspire us to create amazing stories of art and music. They fill our hearts with love and happiness. They help us to fix broken relationships. They remind us of the gaps in our life we overcome. Lots of times in life are holy because they lead people to share in the holiness of God, who gives us life and love so we can be whole. Because even though we all get sad sometimes, and things do happen that we have to overcome, God doesn't want us to be sad, broken, or anything. God wants us to enjoy the lives we have and help others to enjoy theirs too. That's his part of being whole and holy.
Holiness does not look the same for everyone. We need to discern our own path and bring out the best in ourselves. The path to holiness is not an independent or individual process. We all enter into a community and live our call to holiness with each other. Thank you, and may we all continue to strive for holiness in our own unique and wholehearted ways. And if anyone would like to share what they wrote on their paper, they can feel